Philippines Declaration of Independence. The Philippines Declaration of Independence refers to the document signed by Filipino revolutionary leader Emilio Aguinaldo on June 12, 1898, in Kawit, Cavite. The declaration proclaimed the independence of the Philippines from Spanish colonial rule and marked the birth of the first Philippine Republic. The road to Philippine independence was marked by decades of struggle against Spanish colonial rule, which was characterized by social injustice, exploitation, and suppression of Filipino culture and identity. The Philippine Revolution of 1896, led by Andres Bonifacio and later continued by Emilio Aguinaldo, finally led to the Declaration of Independence on June 12, 1898. The declaration was read by Ambrosio Reonzares Bautista, one of Aguinaldo's associates, in front of a large crowd gathered at the balcony of Aguinaldo's ancestral home in Kawit, Cavite. The Philippine flag, sewn by Marcela Agoncillo, Lorenzo Agoncillo, and Delfina Herbosa de Natividad, was raised for the first time to signify the country's independence. The declaration was not immediately recognized by other countries, and the Philippines' independence was short-lived, as it was later annexed by the United States after the Spanish-American War. Nevertheless, the Philippines Declaration of Independence remains an important milestone in the country's history, symbolizing the Filipinos' struggle for freedom and self-determination. Today, June 12th is celebrated as Philippine Independence Day, a national holiday in the country. How did the Philippines gain independence? The Philippines gained independence from the United States on July 4, 1946. The process of gaining independence was a long and difficult one that began in the late 19th century. In 1896, the Philippines launched a revolution against Spanish colonial rule, which eventually led to the Philippine Declaration of Independence on June 12, 1898. However, the United States acquired the Philippines from Spain as part of the Treaty of Paris, which ended the Spanish-American War in 1898. The United States then established colonial rule over the Philippines, which lasted for nearly 50 years. During this time, Filipinos continued to fight for independence through both peaceful and violent means. The most famous of these was the Philippine-American War, which lasted from 1899 to 1902. The struggle for independence continued throughout the early 20th century and gained momentum during World War II, when the Philippines was occupied by Japan. The Philippine resistance movement, led by guerrilla forces, fought against the Japanese occupation and worked to establish a government in exile. After the war, the Philippines was granted independence by the United States on July 4, 1946, through the Treaty of Manila. This ended nearly 5 decades of colonial rule and marked the beginning of a new era in Philippine history. The Republic under the World War II era. The Republic of the Philippines was a newly formed government. During the World War II era, it was established on October 14, 1943, in Tacloban, Leyte, under the auspices of the Japanese occupation forces. This government was created as an attempt to give the illusion of Filipino autonomy while serving the interests of the Japanese. The Japanese occupation of the Philippines began on December 8, 1941, just a few hours after the attack on Pearl Harbor. The Philippines was an American territory at that time, and its defense was under the command of General Douglas MacArthur. However, despite the efforts of Filipino and American troops, the Japanese were able to invade the country and take control of it. During the Japanese occupation, Filipinos were subjected to harsh living conditions, forced labor, and torture. Many Filipinos were also executed for resistance activities or suspected involvement in them. The establishment of the Republic of the Philippines was an attempt to quell any resistance and to legitimize Japanese control over the country. The first president of the Republic of the Philippines was Jose P. Laurel. Laurel was a well-respected lawyer and politician who had served in the Philippine Commonwealth government before the Japanese invasion. He was chosen by the Japanese to lead the new government because of his reputation and his willingness to cooperate with the Japanese. The establishment of the Republic of the Philippines was met with mixed reactions from the Filipino people. Some saw it as a way to gain autonomy and independence, while others saw it as a betrayal of the country's struggle for freedom. Many Filipinos also saw Laurel as a puppet of the Japanese, and questioned his legitimacy as the President of the Republic. One of the most controversial acts of the Republic of the Philippines was the establishment of the Philippine Constabulary, a police force that was tasked with maintaining order and suppressing resistance activities. The constabulary was notorious for its brutal tactics and human rights violations, and many Filipinos saw it as an extension of the Japanese military. The Republic of the Philippines also faced economic challenges during its short existence. The country was heavily dependent on imports, and the Japanese occupation disrupted trade and commerce. The government attempted to address these issues by implementing economic policies and encouraging the development of local industries. But these efforts were hampered by the ongoing war and the limited resources available to the government. Despite these challenges, the Republic of the Philippines was able to
establish some institutions and programs that benefited the Filipino people. The government established a national health program that provided free medical services to the poor, and it also implemented land reform policies that aimed to distribute land to small farmers. However, these programs
were limited in scope and were not able to address the larger social and economic issues facing the country. The Republic of the Philippines was short-lived, lasting only until the end of World War II. In 1945, Allied forces liberated the Philippines from Japanese occupation, and the government of the Republic was dissolved. Laurel was later arrested and tried for collaboration with the Japanese, but he was eventually granted amnesty and was able to resume his legal career. In conclusion, the Republic of the Philippines was a government that was established during the World War II era, under the auspices of the Japanese occupation forces. It was met with mixed reactions from the Filipino people, and faced numerous challenges during its short existence. While it was able to establish some institutions and programs that benefited the people, it was ultimately dissolved after the liberation of the Philippines from Japanese control. The legacy of the Republic of the Philippines remains controversial, with some seeing it as a legitimate attempt at autonomy and others seeing it as a betrayal of the country's struggle for freedom. Thank you for listening. We hope you learned some part of our presentation. Thank you.